Hi, my name is Ben Laverty, and welcome to California Safety Training's monthly safety training on slips, trips, and falls. Special thanks to American Dairy Co. for having us do these classes. This week we're doing slips, trips, and falls. The first thing I want to say, in the movies, when someone slips on that banana peel and falls right onto their rear, everyone has a good chuckle. But as we all know, it happened to us, and when it happens to us, it's very painful. This can also lead to serious injuries of back, neck, and other parts of the body. So I really want to address slips, trips, and falls. I feel like in the dairies, I look out there, there's a lot of wet surfaces. It's a part of the job is to spray things off, to work with cattle. You're talking about cattle manure, so it's definitely slips, trips, and falls. Big potential, and you really need to pay attention, look in the direction of travel, and be aware that you have that hazard at American Dairy Co. So according to the National Safety Council, there are 1 out of every 7 accidental deaths are caused by some kind of slips, trip, or fall. So it is a big percentage and it is a big deal. The root causes of slips, trips, and falls are 3 or 4 basic kinds. There's something in the way on the floor, a foreign object on the floor. There's a design flaw in the walking surface, a little notch or a bump in the sidewalk or a crack in the sidewalk. There's a slippery surface, something's wet, people are spraying things off, or an individual has an impaired condition either physically or mentally. So we want to be aware of all of those 4 things and really identify them by looking where you're going. And one of the big things for me is if you're carrying a box in front of you, you can't see directly in front of you. So if you have to do that kind of work, you really need to pre-inspect your route of travel and make sure that you see where you're going. Slips represent just a loss of balance caused by too little friction between your feet and the ground. Coefficient of friction. In other words, when the coefficient of friction gets too low, then you slip. So when it's wet or oily, occasional spills, weather hazards, it rains. Just talking to my Georgia guys out there, he's saying, hey, he was happy to have 5 days without rain. Hey, this is a part of one of the hazards you're going to have to deal with daily in the South there. Loose, unanchored rugs, mats, other foot wiping surfaces, or flooring or other walking surfaces that just don't have good traction. So you want to be careful of those slips. That's the first part of slips, trips, and falls. Trips are when you lose your balance because your foot runs into something and it trips you. Basically, obstructed view, poor lighting, clutter in your way, wrinkled carpeting, uncovered cables or electrical cords, the bottom drawer not being closed on the desk in your office, or uneven steps in stairways, or even just the small steps coming out of a room or building. Falls result when the body movement shifts too far off the center of gravity. Center of gravity for most people around the middle of their stomach. You lose your balance because your center of gravity, and you fall once that center of gravity goes outside of your center of your body. It's usually associated with some kind of slip or trip before then, and then you fall, hit the ground. Here it says, hey, it's not the fall that gets you, it's the stop at the end. This also applies here. Prevention. Clean all spills immediately. Mark spills in wet areas with signs. Mop or sweep debris from floors. Remove the obstacles from walkways. Always keep them free of clutter. Secure mats, rugs, and carpets that don't lay flat. Cover cables that cross walkways. Keep working areas and walkways well lit. Replace used light bulbs and faulty switches. Take your time and pay attention to where you're going. Adjust your stride to a pace that's suitable for a walking surface and tasks you're doing. Walk with your feet in a good, secure position so that you keep your balance. Walk making wide turns at corners. Use installed light sources. Make sure you have enough light, especially if you're leaving at dark or getting to work early. And make sure if you're carrying or pushing something that you can see where you're going. So really pay attention on these dairies. I spent a lot of time in July walking through dairies. I think that I chose slips, trips, and falls for this one. I think it's a big part of you guys' hazard that you have. I want you to make sure, I especially want you to pay attention in the milk barn. You always need to make sure that your rubber boots are in good condition, that they have good traction on them, and I just really want you guys to make sure you look in the direction of travel to prevent slips, trips, and falls. Have a great and safe day. Thanks for your attention.